This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth, and I've got some pretty disturbing information to bring forward today. It has to do with more directed energy weapons activity in California, the Terminator, the Mark of the Beast. That's all, I believe, a reality that we're looking at. Who can overcome the beast? He's calling fire from heaven, evidently. Directed energy weapons could be a part of that. Not exactly sure if that would be the biblical reference for that. What we do have is the disturbing reality that people are being incinerated and missing in California. I posted the video, Plain Truth, the Plain Truth 2, featured on Richie from Boston. Have a friend, Shelley Lewis, who did some of the coverage of that out there. And I've got a friend that lives out in California right now as well, and there's a problem with a whole bunch of people just missing. They're gone. They're not around. Where did they go? Well, that's a good question. 3 people per second no longer have the human experience. I'm going to flip this around and just show you the view out here. I'm at the ocean right now nearby, and I just wanted to show you the beach renourishment that's going on. This is the YouTube Truth Mobile. It's I'll do what I can while I can. I don't know how long that'll last. That's part of the situation with all this, is that we have a very dark time that we're living in the midst of. The beast system is upon us. We can see the evidence of that. Artificial intelligence is very powerful, and it's more powerful than people. The collective intelligence that's involved with that is beyond human capacity. It's not beyond God's capacity. Keep in mind, Satan will use who and what he can, and God will use it all, including Satan. The truth, the way, the truth, and the life. That's the main point. That's the main weapon and the arsenal in the battle that we're in right now. So I'm not afraid of someone who could end the life of my body. I should fear the one who after that can send the soul to hell. Because I'm one of his children, that's not going to happen to me. I'm grateful for that. One of the obvious things I want to show you real close and right tight before it stops happening, they're pumping a bunch of water and sand up on the beach, and we've got ships there that are floating, doing what they do. This is riding high in the water because it's relatively emptied out. And then the one right in the middle of the view there is going to take its place. They're going to pump out a bunch more sand, and they do this around the clock. Hey, good to see y'all. Thanks for joining. I appreciate the public and private encouragement. It's a big deal. I have recently done what I call VEAMs. I've taken them to another level, basically, in that using the P1000 camera inverted to show the absurdity of the globe, that it's impossible for bulldozers and that to stick upside down onto a spinning, wobbling, and of course gyrating globe. Talking about this seems rather trivial in one context, in that there are people being incinerated in California right now as these wildfires move through. There's video evidence of it on my channel. You can see it, and you can search for it too. Why I will still continue to bring this information about the beach renourishment process is simply because it's happening now. It's an operation that costs billions of dollars a year worldwide, with a variety of different organizations doing it. This is Great Lakes Dock and Dredge. They do a great job for us out here. Very safe, very courteous, and they do an excellent job. And while they're here, they're only here for a few weeks out of the year, and that's happening right now, so I'm going to cover that. It also illustrates a very important reality, that the water seeks its level all over the face of the earth. The tide is coming in and up, and that's one of the reasons why they're adding some height to the beach. They're taking sand from the bottom of the ocean and moving it up onto the shoreline to protect the investment of the real estate development, as well as providing a wonderful place for people to visit. There's billions and billions of dollars of real estate development in the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach. We were expected to have 20 million guests here this year, and it looks like we probably have had that yet this year. So one of the other dynamics too is that even though a lot of the hotels don't any longer allow Bible placement, well, one of the things that I'm able to do with this right here is have the YouTube Truthmobile. And now that the lighting is a little better, I'll take it for a ride. Right here we've got the puddle right there, illustrating the low spot right there. We can see that. All the symmetry of the lighting is a clue. That's the window ledge right there. One of the reasons why that matters is the clues are all around us, and they matter. I'm not freaked out that you can see my license plate. I'm not afraid of a thug. I'm more concerned about the artificial intelligence that knows exactly where I am. Yeah, and I've got some news to the AI. Pay attention. Your time is running out and limited. And you and your family, Satan's family, is going to spend an eternity in hell. I'm simply here handing out invitations for eternity to actually be born again. That's why I do this. That's why this matters. So for the people that are saying, you flat earthers are not, Christian flat earthers are bringing shame to the gospel or to the cause of Christ, I would say, no, not on my watch, not with what I'm doing and the people that I'm associated with. Many of them are very evangelistic, and we've come in contact with many individual that came out of atheism because they found that we live in a creation. The world we live in is created. There's no visible curvature on the horizon. I've got thousands of photos. I'll just show you one of the things that I've shown is these wires there at different locations and how they parallel the horizon. And they should, because they're horizontal. The waves, we've got an offshore wind right now. They will also parallel the horizon. I'm facing virtually south here, but you can look on it on a map if you care to. This is, let's see, what street are we on? I don't have a good beat on what street this is. I think it's 47th Street. But the point of this is North Myrtle Beach, and let me see if I can zoom in on the birds that are out there right now. They're standing in the water. The seagulls are. Some are up on the edge. Some are down in the water. There's a lot of food there for them. They can't. They can fly 5 miles out, but they can't go under the ocean. And what we're getting here is a lot of exotic food that they wouldn't normally be able to get. This is tapering off. They're clearing the line. The water is clear mostly. Looks like quite a bit of air in it. It's a routine that I've got a lot of hours put in showing it to people. And if I were to, let's make sure the nose hair is trimmed. Yep, got that good. Let's flip that back around and show you how absurd that would be upside down. That's part of the reality of the absurdity, is that water won't stick to a ball. Neither will the ships, the bulldozers, the people, all of that. Just wouldn't be happening. So even if I got taken down today, physically, let's say I had a heart attack or something, poor Robert was just running a little bit too hard and maybe had a little bit too much coconut oil, or maybe I got hit by a directed energy weapon. They've got them that'll resuscitate, right? They're called an AED. Did you know they've got them that'll basically neutralize a person as well? Who are they? Well, they're not people friendly. That's part of the deal with that. So when I first was born again, I had a choice to make. It was to, well, basically I got set free from drugs and alcohol, and all the fear was removed. I wasn't afraid any longer to live, die, or tell the truth. Because of that reality, look at what you're looking at now. Look at what's happened. I'm not afraid. It's obvious where I am. Right here. And at the Flat Earth Conference, they I don't know what they'll do with the content that they captured. I was in front of the camera for hours. The Guardian, BBC, some independent film producers that mentioned they may feature me in a Netflix series, possibly, as well as a documentary that I would be featured in. Will that happen? I don't know. That would be interesting, to be sure. And to be clear, what I would say with that is, even if that does not happen, I've got my own reality show. And basically I'm showing you and anybody who's interested the reality of the world we live in. I believe truth and reality are interchangeable, and that's important to know. So what is the truth of the situation? What is the actual reality? What will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? So I'm gonna show you something pretty cool here. I'm gonna have to do it real quick. I'm gonna flip this upside down and show you what this gentleman is gonna do in just a moment. He's gonna grab the diverter off of the end of that pipe right there, and then it's gonna hang upside down. It's gonna look pretty trippy too. That's an articulated cat right there. That's what that is. Okay, here he goes. Almost. Oh, you know what? I don't think he's going to yet. He can't get in there. The cats need to come in. The loaders need to come in and clear a path for him. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. It's all good. But it's a routine that they run around the clock. We had the auxiliary lighting there, and then the cats will come in and clear this. They move the approximate amount of 1,500 dump truck loads per hour, 45 minutes to an hour. That's a lot of sand. They pump it up from the bottom of the ocean several miles out, bring it in, and connect it to a submarine pipeline. It's just what they do. Now the artificial intelligence, the market, oh wow, he's going for it. Check that out. I haven't seen him do it like that before. Okay, so let's invert it. Okay, where are we? There we are. Yeah, do you really think that things can hang upside down? Wind chimes, cranes, none of it. It's a Veeam. I've been doing it for a long time. Boom, and the drop. The mic drop. This is reality. Yeah, how about that? Neil deGrasse Tyson. Hey, I got some eyebrows. I wouldn't mind standing on the stage and letting you stare those bad boys down. Not afraid to debate anybody. I've talked about that before. Oh, that's a sanitation specialist. Hey, I've seen those. They're almost fully automated. They've got a person in them yet, but they wouldn't really need to, because Uber apparently has self-driving vehicles now. What a trip that is. Imagine the garbage trucks coming to pick up trash without a person in it. Yeah, we're not in Kansas anymore. I featured the Terminator movie. It showed the skull-crushing, directed energy weapon tracked vehicles. I believe it was in 1984, interestingly enough. Yeah, 1984. How about that? So this is in the proper orientation and direction. Those are diesel electric cats. They're really heavy, probably 30 to 40,000 pounds. It's a D7E electric. It's got the same kind of power plant that a diesel locomotive has, and transmission of that energy. So the technology we have is mind-blowing. This is relatively friendly, I would say. It's a good thing. Directed energy weapon, laser beam weapons mounted on potentially unmanned aircraft, artificial intelligence piloted aircraft that can incinerate and dispatch laser weaponry. It knows that I'm talking about them right now. How about that? Not afraid. Not afraid at all. And that's a pretty interesting place to be. Just so you know, I got a Samson mobile mic with a little fuzzball on it. And it works really good. I got it from BH Photo. No, I'm not like the Truman Show doing all my own advertisements and getting free stuff. I don't do that. What I'll do is I'll take the money that I earn and go ahead and invest it in exposing the reality of the world that we live in, largely to a majority of people that aren't interested in that. However, some are and will actually be born again. I talk about that quite a bit on my videos. I shared some memories that were a couple years old. I've been creating the audio-video Bible for about 3 years now. And a few years ago, it's coming up on 3 years, February 15th, that I became aware we don't live on a globe. What happened with me is I was given God's Holy Spirit and a love for the truth, as best I can tell, on Reformation Day of 2014, which would be Samhain, a Druid high holiday, a satanic holiday commemorated with human sacrifice still today, and candy distribution to make it all kind of fun for the kids. And then we're coming up on Santa's high holiday, Satan Claus. A lot of people believe the satanic lie of Santa, knowing whether we were naughty or nice and delivering all the presents worldwide in one evening if we were good enough. It's a lie. It's not reality. Over 97% of the people I've talked to believed that lie when they were children. The weather people were in on it, school teachers, friends, family, all of that. NORAD, the military, everybody was in on it. They're in on it today, wearing their little Santa hats. I even have a Santa hat that is on display where Logan Paul is right in front of it in that reflection with me on my photos. It says, "I've been good" on the hat. I got it at a Goodwill. I wanted to help retrieve some of the reality of how many of us, most of us, were deceived about that also. So when I hashtag VEEMS, I'm doing that because I want people to see the impossibility of the upside down world. As soon as I thought to look into it, I saw it right away. It's not that I saw one clue, I saw many, many clues. When I have, I may do a broadcast sooner than when I would get our pool table cleared off at home and get everything set up like a nice studio. I don't even know if I'll live to be able to do that. However, I could go to the local pub, Molly Darcy's, and take this camera, this iPhone 10, and show you how even pool, a game of billiards, would be impossible on a globe. Most of the like this parking ramp, I can see where it slopes into the middle. It should. And then all the architecture, most of it, if it's designed properly, the water will run away from the foundation of the building. You don't want your house or your bank or your shopping center to be filled with water. The water fills the container these guys make out here, and then leaves a lot of the sand behind. They push it around, and they use a lot of stored energy that was actually created with the water, whether it's hydroelectric that's directly moving turbines that was involved in distributing the fuel, or actually like heated up with radiologically nuclear power, or coal-fired power, natural gas. These gloves were wet last night. I was out shooting in the cold rain, and I bring them into the house. Just that temperature differential dries them out. It's the way it works. How much does a gallon of water weigh? Do you know? Well, it depends on the temperature. Right now it's 37 degrees out. At 70 degrees, the volume of that water is going to be different. I should say the density of that water changes. It drives the whole hydrologic cycle. Then we've got the interaction of temperature differentials with the thermal sink, the mass of holding the heat from the sun hitting the water, and the temperature differentials that move air around. It's amazing. So the sun, moon, and stars move above a stationary Earth. That's biblical, and that's the reality. It matters because NASA is lying, and they're the supposed authorities on matters involving cosmology, the shape of the Earth, and all that. So the people that know what I'm talking about know that I'm telling you the truth. The deceived individuals may think I'm crazy, and that works for them. And it's more than the shape of the Earth. It's, you know, like I pretty typically will say, I'm doing activity around 20 hours a day. I couldn't do that when I was 20. I'm 57 years old now. That's amazing. I feel better than I ever did. I have the chemical straitjacket off of me. It wasn't only pharmaceuticals, it was my own self-prescribed drugs and alcohol as well. The waves now are absolutely beautiful. I want to If I step up a little closer, the acoustics will probably be a little bit better. And the way that these waves are opened up a bit, that's because the wind is blowing offshore. Makes them a little better for surfing. And the water temp is in the 50s, the air temp is in the 30s. We could have snow right now. That could happen. Would be no problem for that. So the short answer is the truth matters. When somebody says, it doesn't matter, you guys are crazy thinking you got your tinfoil hat on, they're incinerating people in California. You're crazy people. Oh, really? Have you looked into it? It's disturbing. It's reality. Can you handle the truth? Can you handle the reality of that? Now, I used to just have the Bible.com logos on my car. The problem with that is a lot of the atheists, the people that were atheists, were thinking the Bible was irrelevant. Well, I have YouTube Truth. I want to be a catalyst for curiosity and consideration, that people will say, well, what is the truth? What do you believe the truth is? Well, I believe the truth is ultimately the identity of the creator of the world that we live in. He goes by the name Jesus, Yeshua, the Alpha and Omega, the living water, the great I am. He's got a lot of names. The reality is that he created this world. So the identity of who I am is largely whose I am. I'm a child of God that's actually born again now. I thought I was over 30 years ago till I actually was. That would be the short answer. I thought I was born again until I actually was. If somebody that's struggling with a lot of willful disobedience, if that doesn't cause them concern, they're not paying attention. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says, to all of creation forever, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. It's what you're going to have to deal with, is this being able to see the reality of the situation is beyond the shape of the earth, beyond a lot of the conspiracies. The gospel is foolishness to those that are perishing. Jesus says to the scribes and Pharisees, when he was walking in the body, we recognized 2,000 years ago, and now today, still saying it, you can't hear me because you're of your father, the devil. So the devil's children are not going to get this, they're not going to want this, and I'm not wasting my time sharing the most important information with humanity as much as I possibly can. I'll just keep doing it. I'll try and do it better and better. It's because I care. And I care about doing what God created me to do. I get great pleasure from obediently walking with Him. That's why I do that. Is because He satisfies beyond any chemical cocktail I could try and whoop up in my kitchen. Doing a Breaking Bad, cooking up a bunch of chemicals. I made my own e-liquid with cannabis and Everclear. And when I was a teenager, I did who knows what kind of drugs. I'm not sure. Some may say, well, no kidding. You're whacked out now. Whatever. Whatever people can or want to believe. Because largely people are going to believe the lie they want to believe. Joe Rogan, have me on your show if you want, if you care to. PewDiePie, why didn't you do any meme review? Did I not give you enough material to work with? Now that you've got 75 million subscribers after making fun of me for a 30 or first flat earth video, and many other flat eartheners, as you called us. I have a lot of content that's really funny. He didn't touch it. He probably got the word not to from, I believe, Warner brothers is his who he works with. So when somebody says, oh, they're a troll, or somebody is a troll or a shill, I've got a very different perspective on that. They may be right on with the best flat earth model and believing Jesus is a fairy tale. You're wrong on the Jesus being a fairy tale thing. You might have a good beat on the water being flat and us not living on a spinning ball, but what's that going to profit you if you spend an eternity in hell? So it's the illusion of choice anyway. God's children are going to be compelled to want to know the truth, and then they're going to believe the Bible is the truth, when Satan's children are going to say, no, fairy tale, just like the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus. I'm not all I am is the messenger. You've maybe heard it said, don't kill the messenger. Well, sometimes they kill the messenger. That's what they do. So they'll. I'm gonna get a little bit tighter on this and see if I can set it up in such a way that I zoom in a little bit more effectively. And a little bit more stable. I just want to show you the reality of the no curve on the horizon, of course, and then the equipment reflecting in the flat water that's right next to the ocean, right at sea level. Right now I'm about 30 feet above sea level. Where I live at home is about 8 feet above sea level. Let's back in. See the flat water right there? That's why it reflects like that. When I was a single guy, and it looks like I might be a single guy once again, when I was in California, I had a bunch of mirrors, and I would see how many different shots mirrors I could get the signal for the TV remote to bounce off of, just for entertainment. But the point is, for a long time, when I say I had pre-placed proclivities, part of what that is, I had been seeing the reflections and how things work for a long time, how to build equipment, prototype equipment for race bikes, and building like the first mulching mower with my dad. As far as I know, it was the first one, and he took it to Aaron's. They took it to market. Caterpillar wanted my dad to work for him. He was a steel salesman. He actually told me in the 70s that he went in an elevator underground with Manitowoc Engineering and saw tunnel boring machines that they put on front of a locomotive. And then they would load those up to Sturgeon Bay Shipbuilding and take them out into the Great Lakes and all around the world, wherever they needed to go. So I was aware that there were tunnel boring machines and underground tunnels before I was aware of deep underground military bases, DUMBs as they are sometimes called. So now I think I'm going to make this a little bit more interesting. Let's want to get my glove on. It's really cold. There's about a 7 mile an hour, 7 to 15 mile an hour with gusts, and I'm going to flip this upside down so I can show you how ridiculous that would be in anywhere in the world. It's not happening. Yeah, I knew sand and water wouldn't stick to a tennis ball. I had seen that. It goes flying. There are people that walk their dogs out on the beach and they throw the tennis ball and it goes flying. Water goes flying off. The sand goes flying off. That's reality. So part of what they do, I've got something really mind-blowing for you to consider. Imagine what will happen if a whole bunch of youth and of all ages that are all hopped up on their Mountain Dew or their Red Bull and eating junk food, and all of a sudden they're watching PewDiePie making fun of flat earthers and me, and they decide to find out the truth of the matter. And what happens if they're actually born again? That's the deal. So people that apparently are like not walking with God at all, let's say, and they don't even purport to. They're not even saying they're a Christian. They're just living, they're doing their own thing. Yeah, the lighting's not so good there, is it? So what ends up happening is that when somebody is born again, like with what happened with me, the energy that I draw on isn't my own strength. I didn't pick myself up by my own bootstraps. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. What happened was Jesus gave me His Holy Spirit, a passion, purpose, and an eternal perspective, a love for the truth, and that's why I'm a new man. So even though like things, the bulldozers are looking like they're going the opposite direction, oh well, I'm good with that. That's no big deal. I think what I am going to do is flip it around though, and it'll allow me to zoom in a little bit better. But yeah, imagine what will happen to the families of those when people are rescued from a life of hopelessness. I meet people that are parents of video gamers that they just can't get their son or daughter to get extracted from the imaginary play world they live in. And the demographic that PewDiePie is largely subscribed to is video gamers, actually of all ages. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm noticing the sand flying off of that bulldozer's treads. That would have looked cool upside down. But see what I've got that on really zoomed in tight with the P1000. So you can see it there if you care to. Can you imagine how like the engineering that went into these diesel electric cats? They just run and run and run. I don't see them broken down much at all. I'm sure they require quite a bit of maintenance, but they are, they've got all sealed bearings. They're out in the salt water. That just tears things up. Well, it's made out of a metal that has a lot of nickel in it. He's going to tighten up the pipe right now. I don't know if you'll hear it. Last night, one of them got cracked. I showed it on my video, and that wouldn't work. Now they're going to add some length to it. So what they do with this is they create a basin where the water flows and the sand drops out of. They move the sand around. They'll do it over and over again. A lot of skilled operators there doing what they do. That articulated loader is probably about 40,000 pounds. It's a 966M if you want to Google it. The ship out there I think is about $6 million, $7 million. But like I said earlier, the work that they do is billions of dollars a year. Not just this company, ones like it. On my liked video playlist, I show where they've got a lot of beautiful areas in Dubai. The gentleman overseeing this project, the biggest one he ever did was 86 square miles. That's a big island. So like, for example, we can't see the wind. We can see the effects of it, blowing the palm fronds, changing the shape of the waves. It's all a wonderful system that God created. It's just the way it is. He's going to connect that pipe there, and then the bulldozer is going to push it tight. They do this thousands and thousands of times. There you go. Definitely don't want any fingers anywhere around that. These guys operate really safely. I mean, that's just the way it is. You don't get a little owie, you get killed if you're not careful. Run over by one of them would be tragic. I'm sure it's happened. Probably not with this company, but somewhere I'm sure it has. There are industrial accidents all over the place. See, we never know what our expiration date is. We're all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and wrap this up. And I want to talk about a few other things before I do that, or as I do that. So because of the collaborative work that's gone into my YouTube channel, it's not just what I've recorded, or as some would condescendingly say, pontificated on. There's talented movie producers, documentary producers that are personal friends of mine, and some that aren't. Yet they've got great content that I share. I do my best to, if you want to know what I believe the truth is, you can listen to it come out of my mouth. There's a spiritual smorgasbord within the truth movement. So there may be somebody that is of a different religion or spiritual perspective that is making a 9/11 truth video or a directed energy weapon video. I don't know the credentials of all the people that, or their spiritual perspectives. So what I do is I take a look at the content and say, this is some information I believe you should know about. I also have some beautiful, relaxing music on my YouTube channel, Truth, as well as the audio Bible merged with the beauty of creation. And I acknowledge God, the author of Scripture, the autobiographer of Scripture. I acknowledge Him as the creator and the reason why I do what I personally do. And what I bring to the table in the truth movements is unapologetically biblical, even though it's very unpopular with a lot of people in that movement. And outside the truth movement, there's a lot of people that just want to believe, whatever they want to believe. It's not my call. I don't make that decision. I don't really have any control of what other people think, say, believe, or do. What I can do is be a catalyst for your consideration. That's what I'm about. So faithfully proclaiming the gospel to the ends of the earth around the clock. We can all do that if we want to. Thanks so much for your public and private encouragement. Feel free to call me anytime. What I'm going to do is show you my card that's got the spelling of my name and my phone number. And Bible.com and Bible.is are God's Word in 1,000 languages for free. That's one of the reasons why I encourage people to hear, share, and of course, obey God's Word. It's humanly impossible to do that. So, thank you so much. Feel free to subscribe and get the notifications on YouTube if you care to. And please seek the truth with all your heart where you can. Thank you so much.